Hi, beautiful people. So yeah, I wanted to talk about what had happened when I found out that my dad was dying, and maybe give a few tips to people who have maybe been through the same thing or are looking to go through the same thing. It happens a lot more often than I thought it would. So my dad was given 6 to 9 weeks to live. So it was a bit of a shock because he'd gone into hospital for something totally unrelated. I know how I felt when I found out that I was pregnant and that the baby wasn't going to survive. And so I had a termination at 19 weeks. And at that point, I didn't have as many tools in my toolkit as I did when my dad was diagnosed. So I'm a shamanic practitioner and an essential oil advocate. So obviously the first thing I did after getting over the initial shock of finding out when he phoned me and said he was dying was to reach for my oils. Now I tend to use them sort of intuitively. That's just the way I like to do it. I mean, there are set things that people tend to know about oils. Like most people tend to know that lavender is really good for sleep and anxiety, and frankincense is really good for your skin and stuff like that. But I, by that point, had loads of oils in my toolkit, and therefore I grabbed for Peace, which is one of my favourite blends. This really helped with sleeping, and I've looked into the oils since then, and it sort of makes sense because it's got lavender in it. And actually, when I looked at my medicinal essential oils book, looking at if you've ever seen any of the videos I did, so this is an absolute monster of a book. It's fantastic. Actually, lavender is an oil that's really, really good for shock. And obviously, when you've just found out your dad's dying, shock is one of those things that you're definitely going through. So it's got vetiver, lavender, ylang ylang, frankincense, clary sage, marjoram, and spearmint. So obviously you've got the lavender in there that's really good for shock. You've got ylang ylang, which is a gorgeous floral fragrance, which is good for loads of things. So obviously that was one of my go-to oils, especially when I was up at night, sort of just whirring stuff going through my mind. So that's a fantastic oil. I also use Balance a lot, which is really grounding. So this comes from all the tree oils, and if you split oils into the categories of where they come from, it really helps because trees are very grounding. They're not sort of bothered about what's going to come next, so they're really good if you're feeling a bit like fragmented and everything. Floral oils are really uplifting because of the scent. They sort of get straight in there and cheer you up. Herb oils and mint oils are much good for like more ailments and stuff like that. So it was really good for me just to be able to grab something like that. But some of the other things that I found really helpful was I started doing a lot of journaling. The minute my dad had found out that he was dying, he did a bucket list. And my dad is, as well as being a priest, he was a writer. So he was doing a lot of writing. And I actually found that that was quite cathartic for me. It's something that I've always done since I was young, get my thoughts down on paper, just to get them out of my head. So I actually started my own bucket list as well, which was quite interesting. That just prompted me to do that. And then just to give everybody a heads up who was around me that I was actually finding the whole experience, having never lost a parent, I was finding the whole experience quite surreal, and I felt quite detached. So that's where the grounding oils really came into play. And so I was diffusing like I do here, but I was also wearing the diffuser jewelry so that I had them around me. And obviously my mind was a bit like forgetful and stuff, so having them on my body and carrying them around in a little container was a much better idea for me because I would forget to use them, especially to put things on like a diffuser. So that when it became really good to be putting some of the oils in my water bottles. So like lemon's a really good cleansing oil, so that's quite good if you're feeling sort of congested. So it's good for degunking anyway, but when my thoughts were very congested, it was a really good one for me to just be able to sip water throughout the day and to remember to drink water, because my eating habits just sort of went a bit crazy around that time. So I just thought I'd share some of those things. If you'd like to know more about how to use oils to support grief, there's an absolute load of different oils that can help with different emotions. And obviously everybody reacts to losing someone very differently. I found it very surreal, but I've heard other people just talk about it in a very different way to me. So I can share what I've used, but there are very scientific things like that book I've got. It's got a whole section on grief and despair and negative emotions and sleep, and if you're struggling with eating and stuff like that. So if you want to get in touch with me about any of those things, please do subscribe to my channel using the subscribe button below. I'm going to be doing some more of these over the next week, because this week is Dying Awareness Matters Week, and I do think we need to be talking about these things more, just because we're all going to experience it at some point. You'll probably already have lost a loved one, or it is going to happen at some point. So knowing some of those tips and tricks to help you deal with any sort of disjointed eating or struggle with sleeping or remembering things. So my memory went a bit crazy, so I was using rosemary, which is really good for memory stuff. So just those sorts of things, having those in your toolkit if this sort of thing comes along for you, I just think is a really useful thing to know about. So if you want to know any more, just get in touch with me. I'm always happy to talk about these things, and I'll be doing a couple more videos over the next few days talking about various other bits and pieces, and I might be sharing some of my poetry as well. So it'd be lovely to see you there. Okay, take care, people, and remember, you're all amazing human beings. Bye.